Hey everyone, it's Dustin Knight with TechMD. I really appreciate you've been waiting a long time for my videos. I've been in the process of moving, building my business, and doing a lot of different things, like getting these videos edited. I got a video editor, and he's going to be doing intros and music and all that jazz, so I can make the videos look more professional. Still recording on my Galaxy S8 Plus today. And we're going to be doing an iPhone 7 repair. Now, there's a lot of iPhone 7 repair videos out there, but the way I do things are a lot more different than, let's say, your average repair video. We're actually going to troubleshoot and figure out ways around problems that you might incur versus other videos. They're not going to show you any of that. They're just straight to the point on how to do the repair, but there are some things that you need to come across that you might be coming across now. It's taken me a long time to perfect the iPhone 7. The iPhone 7 Plus wasn't as difficult, but the 7 had given me some trouble. I've been doing them actually since day 2 of launch. A guy called me up and needed an iPhone 7 repair, so I buy them brand new and do a full swap. Minus the home button here. Obviously, you got to keep the home button with it. So you might have seen some other videos. If you're struggling with at all with any iPhone 7s, I'm going to show you a way to perfect it and my way of doing things. Thank you guys for really fending off those haters on the comments. I really appreciate that. That does motivate me to make more videos. I've been just like, oh, everyone else is making teardown videos and why should I? Because I've always been the glass guy. Well, glass has been a lot harder to do lately, so I just stopped making videos and really just didn't get the kind of hits that I was expecting on the video series that I wanted to design for how to design or how to be your own cell phone repair guy. So I just prefer you guys to give me an email or a shout out if you do need some help on that. I'll be glad to help you guys out. Also, we're going to talk about where I get the parts from and what kind of part quality we use. We're only going to be using OEM Original Parts. That's with the Gorilla Glass 4, and that's with the Retina display. Fully refurbished, of course, but either way, top-notch quality, and that's what you want to put on these iPhone 7s. They're pretty pesky. So we're going to discuss some of the problems that you may incur. First of all, after installing the phone, you're going to get these white lines off to the right. Okay, so we're going to discuss how we're going to fix these white lines if you've ever incurred or seen this. It was quite troublesome when I first started fixing them. I would say about 25% of the phones were doing it. Now, once in a while I get them, and I think I've concluded what's going on. It's improper install, and I will show you guys how to do that, and also how to remove these without a suction cup. My way of doing it without really damaging too much on the disc or the frame itself, so which is really important. We're gonna get to it, and I'll show you the different tools that you need. And guys, tell me what you think of the new edits, the video introduction and the music and all that, and let me know where we can improve. If anything, let me know where I can improve on my video. A lot of people ask me, hey, why aren't you using an anti-static thing? I'm not particularly static kind of a person, and as long as you pull off your battery, you're pretty golden. And as long as you wear anti-static shoes, you're, you know, like my shoes are not going to create static. If you're wearing socks, yeah, you should wear that. Also, I'm on a floor that it's not carpeted, so all that kind of stuff. Pretty much I'm not going to be shocking the phone. I've never had a problem with ever shocking a phone. If you're quite electric, then I would wear one of those straps. Beyond that, the proper tools is the key to success with this, and I definitely have those tools. So onward to the video, and thanks for being patient with me, guys. Hopefully there's going to be some more videos in the future. I'm just so busy trying to really master TechMD and make it successful, so that way I can show you guys how to be successful. Hey everyone, it's Dustin with TechMD here. Okay, so we have our OEM Original Parts. So there's a couple places that you can get them from, but for the most part, it's really important that if your screen is still fully functioning, that you want to get it refurbished. I do have a company that refurbishes them back to original, and they look just like this, and it's just amazing quality. When they run out, I actually buy from another guy, who also gives me amazing quality. We're talking 1% defect rate, and if you want to be mobile, this is what you want to get. Trust me on this, you want to get rid of those aftermarket screens. It just overall hurts the entire industry. You're just giving bad quality to people, and then in the future, they're not going to want to use third parties. They're going to want to use Apple because your quality just sucked. So we don't want that. Everyone needs to switch to original, and that's just what it is. And increase the price if you need to. But to be honest, I really haven't had to increase it much more than $10 or $20, mainly because, except for LCD pricing, and mainly because customers, I don't have to open the phone up and do it again. I don't even need to check the part. It's pretty rare to have an issue, so... Now, these stickers and everything else on the cables are very annoying, but it's to protect the phone or the device during its shipment. But if you want to get your parts refurbished within about a week in the US area, I do have a guy who can be glad to take care of you, okay? And very shortly here, I'm going to have it all set up on my website, so that way with the TechMD logos and everything set up, so that way you guys know it's, you know, coming from good quality. Let's focus on what we're looking for here. So you see that little Apple logo right there? That's how you know you have an Apple part. That's how you know you have an Apple glass. And then you look under the cable here, and that's how you know you have an Apple original screen. Now with aftermarkets, if the customer cracks it, it typically will just stop functioning altogether. And that's just because the digitizer is attached to the glass. Versus this one, I think my phone is dead, to be honest, because it had a bad LCD, and so I'm going to have to charge it after the video and then show you guys it's functioning and all that fun stuff. I think this one has been opened before, so it's not going to give me the amount of resistance as we want. We're going to need a pentalobe screwdriver here. Now these are one of the best screwdrivers out there. I don't recommend buying from revamped wholesale because they don't use original parts. They use original kind of parts, but none of them have Apple logos, so don't buy. But for their tools, they have amazing tools. These blue and red-handed tools at revamped wholesale are hands down the best, and Jessica can send you them out. They're, I think, about $5 each. Highly recommend them. You need an iseasmo tool or the iFixit tool from the actual iFixit Pro Toolkit, or you can get an iseasmo tool with the Iflex on eBay. And I will, if I'm not too busy, I will post the links down below, so that way you can have the links for that and the revamped wholesale. But the revamped wholesale, you have to be a member, so you probably need to call in or apply for membership. This tool is ultra thin, and it's going to help us actually open up the iPhone. This is the tri-point, and I got mine in the iFixit toolkit because there was none in existence at the time, but you can get them individually. This works just fine. Has 3 points instead of 4, and just really micro. You need a magnetizer, which you can get this on eBay as well, and this helps you actually pull the screws out of the phone. Now this video is going to be long, but it's really meant for a tech to learn how to do this properly. So I'm not in any kind of rush to make this video in 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever. Now this tool is going to actually help us if we ever have any bend problems with the phone. We can bend it out a little bit, or also helps us remove these tiny screws. Sometimes they machine them in and really tight, and they're very hard to remove. So make sure your device is turned off. Mine is. And make sure everything is functioning on it. And let's start organizing all these screws one by one here. Okay, let's get the pentalobe screwdriver and unscrew the 2 black screws on the bottom. Now you need your Iflex tool. Make sure it's nice and clean, at least the edges here. And don't use too many twisting action, as you can break your Iflex tool, as I've experienced before. So we're gonna get right along the edge, start up here, and just run along, and not too deep. The reason why you don't want to go too deep is because then you can just slice the cables, and then you just ruin your screen. We're going to slice all the way down. Now sometimes it's harder to get this tool in here, especially when first opening it. So what you'll do is just come here, and I usually rotate the display the other way, or the phone the other way, but for video's sake I have to do it this way. Just deep enough to slice that adhesive under there. And then you can get typically under this. If you still can't get under it, you're gonna take your tool right here and kind of pop it up, then get your tool in there and dig out that adhesive real good. Like I said, this one's been open before, so that's why it's coming off a little bit easier. But typically, you can just bend it up. Now, if your screen's starting to fall apart here, you don't want to break it, just get in here like this and do that. Now, this tool is also good for the 6S. I've learned that it's amazing. So not too deep in there, and then you can bend this up. Now this phone opens up like a book, like this. So we're gonna have to actually fight up here, which is the most annoying part of the iPhone 7. So we're gonna start up here in the top right corner and slice. And I'm using quite a bit of force. There's not much stuff that you can damage in there, so you can get a little in deep. But you don't want to get where your tool is scratching up that frame too much. Okay, so now that we got the tool in there, like that, and we've sliced the adhesive, bring in your Iflex and dig in there as well. Just like I did right there. And we're going to twist. Okay, now that's popped open. As you can see inside here, don't want to go much further than that. So now we need the Phillips, and on the iPhone 7 Plus, it'll be tri-point here. There'll be 3 of them. iPhone 7 Plus is not much different, except for this piece right here. We're going to talk a lot about that piece. Okay, yeah, okay, good. We're pointing right. So, organizing screws is important on this. We don't want to get any of them mixed up with anything else. So I'm just setting them aside and kind of off frame here, but where are they? Okay, they're right there. Perfect. And then I'm going to get this Iflex tool here, and I'm just going to get right under this cable here, right to the edge, and then twist. Okay? It's pretty straightforward. Now, sometimes this thing doesn't fall off. Just pull it off. And if it still doesn't, then just wait until you get the display off. But we just set this piece off here, right next to that, and put it in that arrangement so that way you know that this piece is going to go in exactly the same way you found it. Okay? That is critical, because if you put things upside down, well, it's not going to go together right. So we're going to put off another screw off to the right here. You can put it anywhere you want, just organize it. That way every screw goes back into place. Okay. Okay, I actually had to open the blinds up and turn on the lights. I noticed it was getting kind of dark in here. So hopefully that's a little bit more lighting, guys. So now we're going to take our tweezers. I like the iFixit in the Pro Tool kit. It's really nice. It works really good for what we need, and I forgot to mention that that's what we need in this video. Just gonna get under there and pull that up off to the right. Now sometimes it pulls up the cables, which is fine. You just take off the take the plate off the cables. Just make sure you try to get this unplugged. So I like to use a fingernail, but if you don't have any fingernails, then you can also use something plastic, which most of the technicians do. So you don't want to you don't want to use metal and pop that open there. But I like to use the metal right there for to pop that off. But you can also use a plastic plunger, I do believe, but I prefer this. You just got to be really careful and not just like jam it in there and ruin it. So just because I do things a little bit different, guys, doesn't mean That's how you have to do it. And see, my fingernails are not getting it, so I'm just get right to the tip and then pop that up. But you gotta be pretty precise using metals. So like I said, I still recommend using a plastic plunger. Or I don't have any more left. I always use metal and I never have a problem. And pop that up, and then pop up this one. Okay, now we can actually set our phone off to the side and start working on the top here. There's several different things we got to focus on this cable so we don't damage anything. So I'm just going to set these screws off to the side here. And once again, I'm going to keep things nice and organized. And don't lose track of these organization of these screws because they're all different sizes. Kind of annoying. And things won't go in right, and you can scratch glass if you put the wrong screw in. So don't do that. So we're going to lift that piece off right there after removing all those screws and move that out of the way, just bend it out and pull this up. And set that off to the side right next to all of our other little screws here. Okay, now I've found many different ways to take this off, but this is my favorite way to take it off, recently discovered. So we're going to get under this piece here with the flat iFixit tweezers. And just get right under there and just keep on digging. And then a little lifting here. I'll just use this as a prop. Lifting, lifting, and then dig deeper, lifting. And as it's popping up here, this cable's so in the way. We're going to get under this cable now. Sorry, I had to pause the video there real quick because I had a phone call. Okay, so we're going to lift this up here and then just pull this completely out. So now that piece is loose here. Now we're going to dig under here. So what I like to do is kind of like this kind of action. And so we're just moving these cables out of the way, force it down. You can kind of hear it crack out. And that way we know that it's actually pulled off. So this piece usually comes off with it and just stays on there. But if it doesn't, then you're going to have to put it on separate. So I'm going to pretend it came off like it does half the time. And so that way I can show you how to put it back on properly. Okay. Now for this piece, I just go right here and just twist. And then set that down right there. Now, let's go for the bottom screws and then I'll show you the technique for the side screws. Let's just keep everything organized. Every screw in its place and back in the same place. Even though they might be the same size, it's better that way. Now, what if you lose a screw? Which screw should be missing? Whatnot. Okay, so that's interesting. You know, it does happen from time to time. If you don't have a replacement, it's fine. I recommend having these 3 screws no matter what. And preferably all 4 and then just still one from the plates. The middle one and this middle one could be missing, no problem. But you definitely need at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 screws, I would say, minimum. Losing any more than that could compromise this coming out or putting it back together properly. Okay, so we're going to set that aside. Now for the side panel screws. So these are very tricky. About 50% of the time I'll run into a screw and I'll just be sitting here and I can tell it's too tight. See how I put my finger right here? And it just comes right out, right? But sometimes it still doesn't want to come out. And you're starting to shred these, right? You're twisting, and they're starting to strip. You need to stop right away. If you notice that it's one of these phones that is machined in, you're going to get these or something along the lines of that and put a lot of pressure. Now this also happens on screens that are all kind of falling apart, especially the side panels, and so it's very irritating. So we're going to put it right up against the screw here and then twist. And we're going to put pressure against it, and a lot. This is obviously not one of the machined ones in, but you just a lot of pressure, but be careful not to slip and cut yourself, which hurts, or poke yourself, which I've done that several times. It's just part of the game. Tweezers don't really seem to really give it enough power, and that's why I use something a little bit more heavier duty. Now, let's say, unfortunately, the stupid screw is stripped, and you have no way of getting it out. You're going to just cut that with your wire cutters right here, and cut that off completely. You can be missing one, and this thing will go together. It does have clips all around. It's the last thing you want to do, especially in front of a customer. Just say, unfortunately, these screws are machined in really tight, and sometimes the screws don't come in, and so I have to literally cut the head right off of them, or the plate right out. Okay, so see how that was stopping right there? Make sure I have enough pressure behind my finger in order to pull that out. If you notice it starting to twist, you need to focus on doing that. Now, before I take out the last screw, I better check my, I can't think of the word, alignment here. You can do a couple things. You can take a picture of this here, or you can measure it, which is my favorite way. Now, this is something that might not be described in any other video. I don't know if it is. If this is not perfectly aligned perfectly, it will, on the new screen, it will cause that white lines. It will cause pressure marks all over the screen. It's very irritating. So if you just measure it the first time, then when you're putting the plate onto the new device, if it doesn't line up, then you can just readjust it. Okay, so this is perfect alignment here. We're going to get this under the camera here. So I'm using my tweezers here, and I'm going to count 1, 2, 2.5 notches from this base here. So I need to be about 2.5 to 3 notches down, never up, because up is too much. And then we measure right here. They're about 1 notch to 1.5 notches can be fine on this. And so that's this tool. But if you have a different measuring device, then measure the exact amount and then always get it perfectly on as much as you can. Okay, let's finish removing these screws here. Okay. All 6 of those are removed. Now, to remove this without damaging these cables can be a little tricky. You can use something plastic plunger or anything like that. Like I said, I don't have any of that stuff. I don't use it because I've been doing this forever. I like to use my trusty tweezers. They're great. We'll push this down, and so you can get under. And then I just cut the adhesive off. Come on. There we go. Now we got under that piece. We're just still slicing the adhesive. Be careful not to jerk it. Have some resistance. There we go. So this is the sticky part here. And as you can see, none of the cables are damaged. There's no pinches or anything like that. Pinching the cable can damage it, and which causes you to not get a refurbished screen. This one's broken LCD, so I could care less, but I still wanted to demonstrate. Now, this is the trouble. A lot of people have trouble removing this, and this is my technique. If you guys have a bit different technique, please go ahead and comment, but this is my favorite. It's never had a problem, especially putting the button on. I struggled quite a bit putting the button on too. So right here, just get to this point and just lift up. Okay, so that cable is loose now. Then we're gonna see this cable right here, how it kind of wraps up and over. We're gonna jam that right under there, flat tool. And so now we're actually getting inside underneath the button, and then we're going to slide our tool all the way over, just cutting that adhesive. And it comes right out. Okay, easy enough. Shouldn't be too difficult. So that's our old screen. Sometimes you have to transfer this piece here. So I just puncture right through here, I think. I don't do it very often. There we go. That's how you remove this piece here. If there's any glass left over, just clean it off and whatnot, and you'll be fine. Then you just take your good screen here and put it in, write good on it, and then you ship that off and get that refurbished, and then you back to your original screen like so. Easy peasy, right? Almost. All right, so let's do everything in reverse. We're gonna put this home button on. So slide it in at this angle through that hole, and then make sure it's perfectly lined up like this, back and forth, and it's flush with your fingers. Still, you can still feel the button, that's fine. And then you can put this piece over back on it, the piece of plastic it comes with, so that way it doesn't fall out. Now, here's my secret technique. I don't know if anyone uses this, but this is how I do it. So I'm gonna lift this piece up and over that piece. Then I'm gonna get under here. See how I have the tweezers right under there? I'm gonna close this piece over and look at it very carefully and then just snap it. I'm looking at it, make sure it's sitting right. Now I did that really easy. Sometimes you might struggle a little bit. Sometimes I still struggle. That's fine. Just make sure you look at it and then snap it together. Because if you just try to close it on top of it, it's not gonna work. You have to use tweezers, in my opinion. That's the best way. Okay, now for second most important thing, alignment. Then we're just gonna set this on, and I'm gonna try to guesstimate what I need to do. Make sure this is sitting down as flat as you can. So I'm gonna put this piece a little off from that piece. You see that? See how it's a little off? All right, so we're gonna get that alignment just like that, about, and then we're gonna adjust it right here. So now we've slid the cables down a little bit, but I've noticed something that I forgot to move the cables underneath the plate. So let's start over here. Come on. Make sure the cables are under the plate. Let's try that again. There we go. Now that the cables are being held down by the glue and the button, let's check alignment here and see how off we are or on we are. I can already tell that it needs to move a little bit over. There we go. So we're about 2.5 right here. And we're a little bit far over. I would say 2.5 that way. So what we're gonna do here is lift this cable up. All right. Move this cables a little over, up and around, down. Now check alignment again. Yep, that's perfect. And that's not too far off. That's perfect too. Hey, so remember, the whole point of having alignment here is to make sure it's perfectly aligned so it can fit in this hole right here and not cause any pressure on your screen. So I'm just now assembling it. We're gonna put our finger next to that and screw them lightly. You don't need them completely tight. right, and now we're going to put the plate over and tighten all these screws. So this plate goes in after this plate. Sometimes it doesn't want to screw onto the button right here, so just push up the button a little bit more, then it'll screw on and make it flush and tight. Alright, now we're done with the tri-point there. Set that off to the side, and we're going to line this up. There's two little holes right here, and I'll show you them closer. Hole one right here and hole one number 2. And actually, let's get the plastic pieces in first. If you pull them off right and keep the alignment, you'll know, but there's a little notch like there. Oop, let's get it in the camera here. Notch right there. Okay, and that notch goes right below this screw hole. And then if you keep this at this angle and not upside down, nothing like that, you can maybe see on camera. There's a little gap right here. It's very hard to see. I'll just put it in right there. So make sure that's not upside down. And we're going to push these in here. So this little piece went into this hole here. And then these went over the two tiny holes there. Then we're going to get this and make sure this little earpiece goes into that hole here. And then those four make contact. And then these two pieces here and those two pieces up there all connect to these four pieces there. You can place it over, push it in a little bit. It's going to give you a little resistance, that's fine. You're going to move this cable over and plug it into the camera slot or the camera holder piece. But I can't remember that thing, what's called. Yeah, whatever. Anyways, we're going to make sure that's all held together. And then we're going to slide this over on top of everything. Told you, your tweezers are your best friend on this. So now, while it's all holding down, you're going to put the screws that you took out and put them exactly where you found them, since they're all aligned and perfect here. Oops, look at that, I already made a mistake. See, don't want to make mistakes like that. That's why you keep alignment, so that way you know. Because I went to the third screw and I was like, hey, I got an extra screw over here left over. And so now I knew that I accidentally put that in the center one instead of the far edge. So you just reverse it and put it all back in the right one. Now our cables are all lined up. You can double check this one more time if you want. And we're ready to close or put these cables on before we close, actually. So I like to start up here first because it's the easiest to plug in. And just grab it with your tweezers, and you're gonna have to angle it. It's kind of a pain, but you can do it. Okay, I'm kind of holding it in right here, and I'm gonna push it in with my tweezers. And you can hear it clip in. You can also make sure it feels good with your finger. Okay, and then this, you just have to hold it up. Grab your tweezers and put this in right, which is right under there. I'm holding this all down together with one finger while it slid that direction. Tighten that screw, get another screw here. If you found this video challenging or too difficult, you can always mail in your phone to TechMD. We'll be glad to give you OEM original parts. So we're going to clip in the bottom cable here. And cable there. Okay, and then this cable, that's your power button cable. Set that in there. And we are going to get the tri-point. Make sure it's lined up perfectly. Like that. And then move that with your thumb to make sure it's lined up. Now, that's the slow way to close it back up and get it on your finger and get it right. But the trickier way to do it here is, like, we're just going to grab it right there and see, it almost went on perfect. And boom, goes right in the hole. So that way we can keep this thing open. So if it's upside down like that, just kind of grab it and move it around. Oops, see, we're going to twist it back over. Get that in there again. Come on. Grab it, twist it, see? And eye it up and line it in. Just have to finesse it. Okay. Now this is where you want to turn it on. And, oh good, we have power. Good, good. Well, I'm going to go ahead and take off the screen protector for shipping. So that way you guys can see. And the reason why we want to turn this on is because we want to make sure that there is no pressure from the piece that we just did. Hello, Siri.
Voiceover off.
Okay, thank you. Voiceover off is now off. Okay. So you see these little lines right here? Those clips, they're going to go under this housing. So we're going to angle it like that. And start aiming for underneath there. And it'll just slide right in. We're going to push this way and slide in while holding it. You don't want to go too high, remember, because then if you do, you might break this cable right there. So be very careful not to do that. Because this cable, if you don't open it up like this a book, then you can rip that cable. That's why I didn't move that display too much, because that cable will just slice right underneath, which then will cause the home button not to work. If you're not careful with this home button, then you can actually brick the phone altogether, which is bad. You don't want to do that either. Okay, so now we're going to go down while the display's on, and we're going to look for pressure marks right here. No pressure marks, we're golden. Make sure it's sitting in there flush right here especially. Everything is sitting in flush. And then we can check the display and make sure everything is working. Then you make some phone calls and test the phone calls, the proximity sensor. You can cover up the sensor while making a phone call and making sure that works. Everything seems to be functioning fine here, so that's always a good thing. See, looks like we are functioning fully. Okay, so now we're going to put our pentalope in there now that we verified it's functioning, because why take these back out? There we go. And that's how you fix an iPhone. I don't think you should incur too many other problems replacing the screen. You know, this can be a little tricky putting in, but not too much if you have to. Stick with original parts. The aftermarket parts have over a 10% defect rate is what I've seen lately. Originals only have 1%. If you have no access to buying original parts, you can always contact me. We can send you out a brand new one, refurbished of course, and we'll send that one out to you. And then when you send back your good one, we'll give you credit back. So look out for that in the future on our website. If you want to buy some parts off us, even if you're just an individual who wants to do this, all the tools, you know, like I said, the iFixit toolkit will work fine for you, and it'll do these two tools here. But these two tools are more for the professional, and then this tool is more for the amateur. You can buy a $60 toolkit on iFixit's website and have everything you need here except for the Iflex, which you'll have to buy that separately. But all these other tools can be found right on their website with all the bits that you need. They're interchangeable, and it'll do you fine. The bit is a Y000 or a tri-point, or try-wing, as I've heard also. So there is just a bunch of different options. Anyways, guys, I really appreciate the business. Ha, that's what I'm used to saying. I really appreciate you guys watching my videos. Let me know where I've gone wrong. And don't tell me I've gone wrong with metal tools, because I already know that some of you guys don't like that, or you don't have the wrist thing or whatever it's called. I don't prefer using them. I think you can fix a phone professionally without any problems, without using all that jazz. But if there's any other things I've missed in this, just let me know and I'll be glad to cover it in future videos. Hopefully more videos of me doing teardowns will be here shortly. Thank you very much for watching, and this has been Dustin Knight with TechMD. Have a good one.